Okay, looks like we're on. Howdy there, internet people. It's me, Ape, again. I'm gonna switch this over to my Bluetooth microphone. Hopefully that's better. Oh, hold on. There's one other thing I can check. Okay. Um, switch all that off, and all right, there we go. So, welcome, Church of Ape, Monday, October 6th, 2025. I put on this debate video that I've been saving for a while. We'll make it all the way through this. But briefly, we will check out this video from he who shall not be named. Y'all probably already know. I think this is from Modern Day Debates. He did this, and then he restreamed it on his channel, which is fine. And so this is a debate on evolution. I pulled up, and well, I've had it here for a while. Hey, Sandy, good to see you. Yeah, the party went well. We had a bunch of folks over yesterday. Did the barbecue thing. It was really nice, and yeah, it's good to see all my friends IRL and have people over at the house here. And yeah, kids had a good time. I had a good time. I had a little bit too much of a good time, but it's okay. We all get one, right? So yeah, that's the dealio, and so I wanted to do this before the kids get home here, so might have about an hour. And check out this video and get some shit out of the old watch later list because we're up over 200 videos in here still. So kind of want to see what's going on over here. As I recall, Jim Bob Jim Bob makes some pretty shoddy arguments here. Todd Bongiorno, good to see you. That is Italian, and I am Italian, so I recognize that. I cede my time. So I was gonna back it up, but I don't think Jim Bob has made his opening statements yet. It's still this guy fight the flat Earth. I think his name's Craig. I can't rightly remember. I'm pretty sure this guy's name's Craig. I've seen him debate a few times, and he's good. I enjoy him. So let's check out the arguments. Welcome.
It is simply adapting to environmental pressures, and that doesn't just mean having more babies.
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention. So last time I checked out the StreamYard stream from the last one of these, and I was not terribly impressed. The audio was kind of shit, so I adjusted the settings. But please let me know if my microphone's having issues or if it's just a StreamYard issue. It was like really choppy. It was cutting in and out when I reviewed the last video. So if that's happening, I'll just switch back over to Prism. Honestly, like fuck it. But I did use this platform because the stream link's there if anybody wants to join. So that's the point of this.
Makes a better species. That could mean a species having to reduce itself to
What is this garbage? Are we gonna fucking add?
Less than 1,000 in its entire population to be able to survive the environmental pressures. Evolution is biology in progress. It is seeing biology adapt to the world that it lives in. And
I already hate this because this is like restreaming on his channel. So like evidently like this is the back room at Modern Day Debate or something, but he's got his own like shit going on in the background, like super chats and stuff. I'm just jealous because I don't have super chats enabled or anything like that, but it's fine.
People, the things that survive those pressures, those adaptations are the ones that carry on. That's why we're taller now than we used to be. That's why our brains are bigger now than they used to be. Apart from flat earthers, I guess. Evolution isn't just some crazy theory.
That was actually pretty funny. I enjoyed that. Yeah,
It is a fact of the world we live in, and it is how we have come to be the biggest, most intelligent species on this planet. So,
and when he says big, he's not talking about like physical size, stature. Obviously, maybe we have to point this out for some people, but
the evidence for evolution, there's mountains of it. So if Jim Bob has evidence that evolution doesn't happen, then I'll be glad to hear that. But I certainly hope that Jim Bob doesn't just straw man what evolution actually is and argue against something.
Oh yeah, he's absolutely going to straw man evolution. We know
he's
that.
Made up, like every single person I've ever spoken to about evolution does. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on, James. Glad to hear what Jim Bob has to say.
Thank you. And before we kick it over to Made by Jim Bob, I want to give you a quick couple of housekeeping things. Folks, if you did not know, at the bottom right of your screen, Andrew Wilson will be taking on Apostate Prophet. That's on April 28th. That is at Asheville, North Carolina. You don't want to miss it. If you're nearby, grab tickets, which are linked in the description box below. There's an option for free tickets. So check out that link. And if you're like, hey, I would love to do that and come for a free ticket, but I can't make it, I'm in Australia or England or Washington.
Hey, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Good to see you. Happy Monday.
And you can watch it live here at the Modern Day Debate YouTube channel. So hit that subscribe button. And with that, we'll kick it over to Made by Jim Bob.
The evolution of ribosomes. And this is what you'll see throughout, unfortunately, throughout peer-reviewed journals that are supposed to be presenting science. They are full of evolutionary storytelling.
Cool.
Presenting science. They are.
Looks like we got good sound. That Rebecca over there is on live now. I just saw that. I'm gonna go do something else. Seems like the sound is good. So.
For his opening, thanks very much. The floor is all yours.
Hey, Will Freeman, good to see you. Big love, buddy.
Christian Bob.
All right, thank you very much. So I guess the question is, what is evolution? It's said to be the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. Now,
he says like the process. So his definition is all wonky, right? Because he was like, well, the process of like, how did he say that? Because like all living organisms are attached to like evolution as a system, right? Like, so it encompasses literally everything that is alive. But he's like, I don't know. That was a weird definition he gave. Okay, yeah.
Now, I would like to point out that it's often claimed that evolution inside of natural biology in the natural world, it's in the natural sciences, it's referred to as a scientific theory. My contention with evolution is that it's actually not a valid scientific theory, because for something to be a scientific theory, there's actually a pretty strict criteria to call something a valid scientific theory. So not only do I have contentions with evolution,
evolution meets all of the criteria for. That's why it's accepted in science. If it didn't fit the criteria, it wouldn't be accepted, right? Like there are scientific theories of the flat Earth, for example, right? That are, people have acknowledged them. They've definitely looked at them and they've been like, no, this is bullshit, and so it's not accepted. So why, like, I don't understand, like, why you think you can dismiss like one of the most widely accepted scientific theories on the basis of what, Hey, Sterling, good to see you. It's been a while, buddy. Evolution is still happening current day. He made it seem like it was long ago. Yeah. They act like they can't like see this stuff going on right now. It's kind of wild, man.
evolution and its larger claims, which goes outside of the bounds of simply adaptation. Their larger claims over time are unjustified, but
somehow, like, James is on the big screen right now in his presentation. Obviously, you can see this kind of having a snack, so that's funny, you know.
even pinpoint.
Said the word pinpointing.
Okay. Well. Okay.
Only about 5 to 10 seconds.
Okay, great. That's fine. All right. So I was talking about the scientific theory. There needs to be a criteria for calling something a scientific theory inside of natural science. I said that evolution doesn't make its way through the scientific method. For those of you who are wondering what that is, it starts with an observation in reality. It starts with you then ask a question about what you're observing, and then the question leads to what's causing what you're observing. Then it leads to an experiment. Then you have to actually do the experiment. You have to manipulate things, and then you come to some conclusion. And only after the conclusion can you develop what's called a scientific theory, which is essentially an inductive conclusion to a high percent of likelihood until proven otherwise. Now, I'm saying that evolution doesn't even make its way through this. It doesn't even have a viable hypothesis. The only arbiter for competing hypotheses, that is to say, Craig is saying, well, do you have any other explanation?
Evolution doesn't have a viable hypothesis? Like, how the fuck? Like, my guy. Like, all right, hold on. We'll pull this up just for good measure.
The only way for two competing hypotheses to exist inside of natural science is experiment. But the fact that evolution doesn't even provide an experiment it's sitting outside of the bounds of what's considered a.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Evolution provides, like, probably, I mean, I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that there's, like, probably thousands of experiments, right? Like, evolution is not like a new kid on the block. Like, this shit has been around for a long time. There is a lot of data that's research put into this area of study, right? Like, people spend their whole lives doing evolutionary biology, right? Like, for generations and generations. Like, what are you talking about?
A scientific theory. It's basically a massive story, a hunch, a post-diction, justification. You're looking back in time. You're imagining what could have.
Evolution is the process by which living things change over generations through natural selection. Yada. I know that. That's a definition. Not okay. Right. So, like, Darwin and Wallace proposed that evolution occurs because of natural selection. And we'll just read it because obviously, like, these guys don't know what the fuck it is. But it says the theory of natural selection: organisms produce more offsprings than are able to survive in the environment. Oh, welcome, Sterling. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah, same old stuff. How you been?
Oh, everything's good. I just agree with everything that I've heard so far. So I just wanted to be, to join and be a part of it.
Cool. Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, cheers, man. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, I think like the original title of this or something, like he put like evolution debunked or some shit like that. Like, it's pretty yeah. It's pretty wild.
Because the guy on the big screen, he's the moderator, the host or whatever, right?
Yeah. It's James from Modern Day Debate.
And he's the one that names the debate. So is that what you're saying?
No, but this is so Jim Bob had like retitled this on his channel when he shared it. So.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, he changed it since then, but it just says like evolution debate. But I think it was like he said like debunked at some point or something like that.
Have happened, and then you go and try to find evidence for the story that you've told, right? So it's all confirmation bias. If the observation in evolution is variation of organisms, if Craig wants to try to take us through the scientific method and prove that evolution is a scientific theory, I would want to know his observation. Most of the time they say variation of life itself, right? That's the observation. Now, the assumed cause, I'm still waiting.
Like, I love how he's just like, oh no, it's on this guy Craig to prove to me that evolution is a valid scientific theory when literally all of science actually just accepts it.
Right.
He's like, no.
He said it's not a valid theory. There is no hypothesis. That there is no. I think he said there's no like experiment that you can measure, and all of these things are false. Like, I just couldn't be more wrong.
Right.
It's amazing that someone who clearly hasn't studied it at all is an expert. It's amazing.
Waiting from any evolution proponent to tell me the assumed cause, because that's how science works. So my argument today is pretty simple. Premise one is a scientific theory is the product of the scientific method. Premise two, evolution cannot be run through the scientific method. Conclusion, evolution is not a valid scientific theory. So what is it? Well, it's a story. It's a hunch. It's basically looking at reality as it is and making an assumption about a past that you can observe, and then trying to find some sort of supportive evidence for the past you can't observe. And that's pretty much all it is. Now, conflating adaptation at the local level, at the molecular level, looking at what bacteria does and doesn't, has nothing to do with the claim that every animal we see today comes from a previous kind of animal or a different population altogether that it all branches from. There's actually no evidence of this. I can give a hypothetical to demonstrate Craig wouldn't even know how to delineate between a fossil he found that matches his hunch and a fossil he found that doesn't match his hunch. In fact, when they point to, notice how when they bring up, say, transitional fossils, there's nothing that's not a transitional fossil. So when they say we found a transitional fossil and I ask, are there any fossils that aren't transitional? And he says no. So the distinction, it doesn't matter. So if everything's a transition.
Well, the distinction matters. Like, he brought up a lot of stuff there, right? Like, okay, like, bacteriology is like just one limited field of research, right? And it's just one piece of the puzzle that puts together how evolution works. But then he's like bringing up the fossil record. He's saying, is there any fossil that's not transitional? Well, of course not. Obviously, everything is constantly transitioning in evolution, right? But if you're looking for like a particular period to say, hey, this is when we see certain species, like adaptation has occurred, and we can see that here, right? Like, that's what they're looking for. Oh, at what point did this, like, aquatic animal go, transition to the land or something like that? Like, I don't know. I think that's just that's funny.
There's got to be more simple, like, experiments you could run to prove it, to prove natural selection. I remember one in when I was in school. I'll probably get it wrong, but it was pretty simple. Like, we just took like the pansy flowers, like pansies or whatever, and I think like three of them were purple, and then one was pink, and so then they like bred with each other, and the majority turned out purple, and so like, that right there would show you that, that it's either going to be purple or pink or a mix in between, and that could happen too. So like, I don't know, just showing that, the natural selection occurs in a very short, it can be a very short amount of time. Like, they always want to go for like the macro evolution, if you will, that word, but there's more simple ways to show it that they want to dismiss.
Exactly. Yeah.
Transitional fossil, then finding one, you might as well pick up anything out of the ground and call it a transitional fossil, because under evolution it has to be transitional. That doesn't really tell us anything. It doesn't tell us how things change. It just says a story that things change. So that's another problem evolution has, is when you tell the story from a broad view, it sounds like a compelling story. It sounds almost correct. When you ask granular questions about what is actually occurring that makes this long process do its thing, they're at a loss for words. They basically just say it happens. Well, it just happened. Over time, it happened. Clearly, it happened. Well, I don't even think Craig or any other evolution proponents could actually tell me what happened. Like, what is actually happening? So there's a famous mathematician and astronomer who stated the following in regards to astronomy. He said, I think this also applies to evolution. He said, as far as hypotheses are concerned, let no one expect anything certain from astronomy, which cannot furnish it, lest accept that as the truth idea is conceived for another purpose, and depart from the study a greater fool than when he entered. This applies to evolution because you don't have the ability.
He quotes an astronomer with a pretty bleak outlook. But
Yeah, I was immediately skeptical. I was like, wait, where's he going? He seems like he's stretching here, and he was. I honestly didn't understand what he said. I didn't even catch that. I didn't get it.
he's basically like mathematically, he's like, there's no way you can quantify the universe. Like, and this applies to evolution somehow in his mind. Like, that's what I got out of it. I was like, oh, okay. You couldn't
Okay.
produce the calculation that's necessary to make this work, or whatever. Tog said, did you see the recent debate with Jim Bob? It was pretty relaxed, awesome stream. I don't think I saw the most recent one on MDD, but I did notice he was like trying to be a nicer person or something like that. I don't know if that was genuine or not, but apparently he was trying like not to be such a dick the last time I was watching him.
Is it usually like this format on the screen where the people debating are really small? Like,
No,
and then-
no, it's because he's restreaming this from the other. So like, yeah, this is kind of a weird like format for no.
Oh,
Yeah, this is
gotcha.
not.
I got you.
That's kind of why I thought this was funny too, because the way he's like restreaming this from like, I guess, the backstage room or whatever. And so yeah, that's why we're seeing it this way. But yeah, ordinarily it should be like the normal 4-square thing, and then like James would be up in the corner, and each one of them would have a
Okay, gotcha.
ability to manipulate anything inside the evolution paradigm. All you have is the ability to manipulate things at the adaptive level, at the molecular level, at the local level. This says nothing. This demonstrates nothing about the macro, what's often called macroevolution. It says nothing about what happened. It says something about what you can observe happening. These are two different things. I would argue that evolution itself, as a large word.
So he just acknowledged that it's something you can observe happening, but he's saying that doesn't necessarily apply to the past, right? We can't say that it happened before because we can observe it happening now. That's kind of this is how he closed his
Exactly.
argument.
Exactly. He's saying, well, we can see things happening when it's short term, but when it's long term, we can't see it, so they can't explain it. Well, it's just
Right.
a lot of those short term changes add up to something big, over time that might last longer than our lifetime, so you never get to see it. It could take thousands of years, millions of years. So I don't know. I don't really buy that.
Yeah, and I think they call that like the time problem or the problem of time or something like that. There's no way it could have been millions of billions of years or something like that,
Because their brain can't fathom it, because why though,
Yeah. Exactly.
Worldview is almost religious, and in the sense that what it does is it takes what might be true at the particular level, and then it says it's true about the whole, which is a basic composition fallacy. This essentially is the argument against evolution being a proper scientific theory. Evolution cannot produce a viable hypothesis, and it cannot be taken through the scientific method. Scientific theories are the product of the scientific method. They are not the beginning of the scientific method, and what we'll hear tonight is a bunch of beginning stories, then some supporting analogies or evidence to try to buttress the assumption. Well, the assumption is what's in question. I'm not granting the assumption.
You got it. And with that, want to let you know a couple of quick housekeeping things. Folks, first, very exciting to share that Modern Day Debate is helping promote
Yeah.
epic debate between Andrew Wilson and AP on whether or not Christians should. Check out the link in the description box. Grab tickets now. There's even an option for a free ticket. Highly encourage you. It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. As well as, very excited that for that particular lens fundraiser, these lenses will be used at that debate, as well as future debates between Modern Day Debate and Uncensored America. For example, our upcoming collaboration series called at the top of the live chat and the top of the description box. You don't want to miss it. Help us make these debates a reality. And thanks for your support. With that, gentlemen, thank you very much. The floor is all yours for open dialogue.
So, Craig.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. You can go ahead.
Yeah. I think you kind of have some misunderstandings about what a scientific theory is in relation to the scientific method. It's not just a product of the scientific method. A scientific theory is something that is well substantiated with a body of facts, including observable experimentation and following the scientific method. Its scientific method is just one aspect of having a scientific theory. The scientific
I feel like it's beating a dead horse, but I mean, just like right here is where like he's differentiating between what is a hypothesis and what is an accepted scientific theory, right? Because they use the word theory differently in like academia versus how we use it colloquially.
Right.
So, and I think he's doing an okay job of explaining that, but I feel like Jim Bob's probably already heard this before.
Well, let's see.
scientific method is itself just a method of helping us determine if a hypothesis has been falsified or not.
Okay.
It's not the entirety of
Okay.
the scientific theory.
But-
So I think some misunderstandings of terminology
Would you-
there
are you-
could, help towards your confusion.
Okay. Are you saying that a scientific theory is necessary, the scientific method is necessary for a theory, but other things can be included?
Tog said Jim Bob needs to replace the model. Yeah, you need to have, and if I understand what you're saying correctly, like you can't just try to like say there's no evolution and then like not provide some alternative theory, right? For how life became diversified.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's part of
Okay.
the scientific method. Is it's not a scientific. The scientific method is something that we use to try and falsify a hypothesis.
Okay.
That's just all it is.
Okay.
A scientific theory is a different thing. Using the scientific method as part of our experimentation process to then get, okay, so we now have a scientific theory. Yeah, it's part of it. But you were like, well, it's the product of the scientific method, which is just kind of a misinterpretation.
Well,
I
I'm
just
asking.
wanted to get that
I
cleared
want to
up.
just clarify: is it possible to develop a scientific theory without the scientific method?
Scientific method is what you use to try and falsify a hypothesis. So
Okay.
if you want to have a hypothesis in your scientific theory, then you need to use the scientific method to get to that.
I
But
understand.
you're saying, right, is this one thing that slots in here? You're not understanding what the scientific method is.
I'm asking you-
The scientific method isn't
Craig.
just a thing that
Craig,
slots
you didn't answer-
in
you didn't
as
answer my-
part. Yeah, let me finish what I'm saying.
didn't answer
A
my
scientific
question.
method isn't just the scientific method isn't just something that slots in as part of this or that. It is a process. It is a tool.
I asked you- Craig.
All I'm saying is it's incorrect to say the scientific theory is just a product of
I didn't
the
say
scientific
just.
method.
I didn't say just. Do
You
agree?
did. That was the word you
Craig,
said.
Craig.
But anyway,
You're gish
I just wanted
galloping,
to
bro.
clear that
You're
up.
gish galloping.
No, I'm literally not. I just wanted
Literally.
to clear that up. And Jim Bob, when I
You didn't
give
answer
you
my
an
question.
explanation, you say I'm gish galloping. That's not my fault. You don't
Let me
understand.
know when
I
you're done.
just did directly
Okay.
answer
Okay.
your question.
So
So, yes.
the question was this: can you produce a scientific theory without the scientific method? I didn't get a.
And he did explain that, right? You need, if you have the hypothesis, you need the method to test it. That's the scientific method, right? Like, I thought he explained that pretty clearly.
Right, and I guess like maybe you could develop a theory, but it would be it would be baseless. It would be, it wouldn't have been tested appropriately. It wouldn't be a valid theory because you didn't really go through the process. S- so yeah, so if you want a good theory, then you need to go through the process, I would say. But but I don't know. I think he's just trying to get him trapped on words. I don't know what the point of it is really.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is a word game, for sure, and then trying to like redefine terms. Um, and then Tog said, yeah, you can't justify it alone, and God did it. It's how He did it. Um, I've heard some people like saying that, like, well, if evolution happened, and there's like, I guess a lot of Christian Americans believe that, there is evolution, but God somehow designed it, which is fine for what it is. I mean, if you incorporate that in your belief, then cool. But I just find a lot more of these debate bros, they want to try to deny that it's valid like this.
Right. They're sticking to the creation story that everything here currently was created by God, just the way that it is, and that just seems senseless.
Yeah, yeah. And this one guy also said, the why is known, also how, Jesus, but with knowledge we discover. To die in the belief of evolution is to bear witness to it. Actually, that sounds kind of cool. I like that.
A clear answer on that. I'll put it in premise form, Craig. A scientific.
I've already answered that. Asked and answered.
Interrupting. A scientific.
Asked and answered. We can move on because I've asked and
All right,
answered
one at
that.
a time.
Okay, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes or no with my
I'm just saying I've asked and
Okay,
answered.
you keep
I
interrupting.
refuse to repeatedly
One at a
like him,
time,
but
gentlemen. I have
just to be
break it
clear,
into
for the
1
purposes
2-minute
of this debate,
segments.
I absolutely
Hold on
refuse
a
to
second.
continually answer the same
I'm
question.
going
If
to
I have
break
answered
it
the
into 1
question,
or 2
I
minutes
will move on.
Okay, just gonna.
That's funny because like James is kind of spaced out there, but he did answer the question. Jim Bob didn't like the answer, and then rather to then ask him to repeat it, so he was like, "No, you're obfuscating." So Craig got mad there. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, this
This is
guy on
basically
the
going to be the
bottom.
gist of this debate.
This guy on the bottom his name's Craig. Is that right?
Yeah, that's him. The English guy, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's English or some form of, yeah.
Dude, to be honest, I feel like he could be more effective. Like if he would, let the guy interrupt and like not get so angry about it, I feel like he could be more effective than what he's doing. But that's just my first impression.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. His answers might be a little long-winded for some people, especially Jim Bob, but yeah, a little more patience would help. But I mean, this is kind of a tactic too. So from Jim Bob, try and get people riled up.
Yeah, it should be predictable though,
Yeah.
Okay. Who asked the most recent question?
I'm asking a question, and it's a yes or no question, and I didn't get an answer, and so I'll ask it a different
Asked
way.
and answered.
Okay.
Okay, wait, hold on one sec. Okay, Craig, you feel like you answered it?
Yes, I my entire spiel that I just gave there answered the question, so
Said it
now
yes.
the conversation can
So
move on. If Jim Bob wants to continually
Wow.
answer the question, ask the question over and over,
All right,
I will
wow.
just say
Just-
asked and
wow.
answered. That's
Wow.
it.
We just want to to see. Okay, so you're saying all you have to say is just, "Yep, I answered it."
Okay, I'm
And
gonna.
then
Yes, I've
made
answered
by
it.
Jim.
Okay, all right. I'll just take
Crying
the.
out loud, you guys honestly are just. I appreciate your enthusiasm, but need you to take a
Okay.
take a deep breath.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is break it into 1-minute segments. All right. So Craig said that he answered it. So Jim Bob will give you a chance
Okay.
for 60 seconds uninterrupted.
All right.
Floor is all yours.
I'm gonna take the answer as yes. A scientific.
Let's see. So I'm just click ask to unmute, so that way you can.
I have to ask to unmute.
So there should be a little window that pops up on your Zoom window.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
Ready for you.
Well, in all of those words, I'm going to take it as a yes that a scientific theory needs to actually go through the scientific method. Otherwise, what are we talking about? Further, if there's two hypotheses, I would argue that the only way to arbitrate between two competing hypotheses is exactly that, the experiment, which is the scientific method. So the reason
Sorry, if it might be
I asked
buffering.
Craig,
No.
is a
That's a little
scientific
bit of buffer.
theory
What did you say?
something that has
What'd you say, Abe? I'm sorry, I lost you. Are you there?
It was buffing on my end a little bit.
be at the
I was trying to
tail
catch up for a minute.
end of the scientific method? And I didn't get a clear answer on that.
Asked and answered.
You're just gonna please answer it again.
I think my internet lagged out for a second there. Was what happened. Sorry about that, sir.
Oh, okay. Well, it would be helpful if he just gives a yes or a no. That's what the guy wants. So just give him a yes or no, I guess.
Again, for the audience.
No, I refuse. To answer questions
Okay, that's fine.
times.
That's fine if you don't want to answer. Okay, so
No, I've already answered it,
Okay.
and everybody.
Yeah, he's flatly refusing. I think this is like he's pushing back to try to frustrate him, and so he's like, "No, I felt like I gave you a clear answer, and like you can fuck right off." So trying to make me clarify it.
Yeah, I feel like he could just say yes, you could, and then just move on. Like I don't see where the guy's going to go with it. I think he's going to say if you say yes, then here's the problem
Everybody
that evolution doesn't go through it, which
answer.
I want to
That's
hear
a
that.
okay.
problem.
Would you say that evolution is a scientific theory?
It's 100% is a scientific theory. It's a stone cold, brilliant definition of a scientific
Beautiful.
theory. Which
Okay. Yeah. For sure.
would you like me to explain to you how it is a scientific theory?
No, not really.
No, in fact, I'm gonna explain how it's a
No.
scientific theory.
This is my
No, please stop
cross-examination.
interrupting me.
No, this is a
I'm
cross-examination.
No, there's no cross-examination. You asked the question.
There's no
I'm gonna answer.
cross-examination of your affirmative.
Can we change the quality of it, like to a lower quality or something? Would that help?
They're not in. They're not actually in cross exam right now. that's not what they're doing. It's open dialogue, and usually these are like back and forth, 1-2 minute responses. Like as far as debate format, like they both gave an introduction, and now they're having a dialogue. And he's like, oh no, this is cross exam.
Well, and you know, I'm not familiar with the whole format of it, but like, I just want to see where he's going to go with it. Okay, so we agree that you need the scientific method to get it
Oh
through.
yeah, I'm able to do that. Lagging out a little bit.
I do apologize at the beginning of your.
You need me to run a line of questions,
So why
James.
is evolution
All
a
right,
scientific
so
theory?
I'm just gonna listen. I don't care about the picture. He kind of did that earlier, and then he was like, "Oh, well, the method should verify the theory." Words on those like concepts, and Craig's like not playing the game. He's just like, "No, I'm not gonna redefine terms for you." I'm like, it's basically the way he's going. He's like, "No."
Right. I would go. I would just repeat
Oh,
it. Just give him
I
what he wants.
We could do this where it's a cross exam
Yes,
where
please.
each of
Sorry, had a little bit of delay. I heard you were commenting, Sterling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's my internet or yours, but yeah, like there's a little bit of a lag.
Oh, almost certainly my fault. Sorry
Oh,
about that.
okay. No worries. I just feel like the guy Craig doesn't have to be so confrontational. That he could just answer the question again because, like, I mean, if the truth is on his side, like, just repeat it, and then see what he does with it. I mean, um, but you're right. He's not playing any of those games.
Yeah.
it's 10 minutes to
Oh
ask
no, I
the
didn't.
other-
I didn't agree to a cross
Craig,
exam.
I'm not
conversation.
with my sentence.
Oh, I can't.
For crying out loud. If I'm still in the
didn't
middle of a
agree.
sentence, can you
I
allow me?
apologize. It's just Jim Bob appears to be trying to
All
win the
right, dear
debate.
gosh, what is wrong with you? All right, if I'm still talking, like, why are you? I'm gonna just start talking while James is midway half sentence. Like, shut your trap and let me finish. So, both of you, we're gonna do 10 minutes.
He got mad. He got a little bit mad there. That was funny.
Yes, he did. Yeah, well, it's a mess. They
Shut
need
your
It's a
some
cross
moderation.
exam. That's one theoretical.
Yeah.
We could keep going with open dialogue, but it seems like neither of you really wants to allow the other to ask a series of questions. We could do 1-minute segments, 60 seconds for the other. What are you guys wanting to do?
Well,
I very much like an
This
open
is kind
conversation.
of like
And if
the
Jim Bob
most
is willing
frustrating
to,
part
we got you.
conversation,
a big like a debate moderator is like telling two adults like, hey, can you guys figure out how to take turns and have a conversation? Is that possible here? Like,
Yeah,
like I can't imagine like, oh, that's like your full-time job.
right. He like he needs to be telling them the format, not asking, hey, we could do this or we could do that,
Yeah, well, I think they already have like a structured format for whatever they agreed to. Like he probably laid it out in an email. Like, hey, there's a structure here, and now they're not abiding the structure. So he's like, hey, do I have to like set a 1-minute timer for for you children? Like, hello.
Yep. open conversation. That's the answer, not the if Jim Bob is blah blah blah. All right, Jim Bob, short answer. What do you want to do?
If it's an open conversation, in conversations about in debates, have questions, have cross-examination in the conversation. So if I'm going to ask a question,
what do you want to do, Jim Bob?
I want to cross-examine. I want to cross-examine his affirmative, which is a fucking debate. That's what a fucking debate is.
You want to cross-examine? Great. Okay, so sounds like you guys are not willing to meet in the middle. Like, Craig, are you willing to do any sort of cross-exam?
Yeah, if we can actually, agree on some terms. The problem is that Jim Bob is trying to define terms. Yeah.
You want to get a fucking debate on? Like, let's go.
I'm cool. That's what I want. I want the debate. That's why I'm saying let's just have the debate. But Jim Bob doesn't want to.
You guys
Really?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we'll do 5 minutes where Jim will ask questions. Jim Bob will ask questions to Craig, and then we'll switch it. But Craig will ask questions to Jim Bob for 5 minutes. Fair?
Yep.
Yeah, cool.
We'll
Does
just
that mean
keep
I
going
get
back
to
and forth?
answer the questions though? That's the thing.
If they're yes or no,
And
yes.
No.
Here we go.
Questions can
5
always be
minutes.
yes or no.
The timer is set.
Okay.
Jim Bob, now's your chance to
Okay.
ask questions to Craig.
Craig, you said that evolution is a scientific theory. Okay. Would you say evolution, being a scientific theory, can be run through the scientific method?
100%.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if evolution could be run through the scientific method, can you give me the
Let me see. I've got it all written down here. Observation: bacteria sometimes develop new traits or resistance under pressure.
okay? And so if the scientific method asks a question about what you're observing bacteria do a thing, and then what's the question you're asking in the scientific method about that observation?
Can we observe evolution happening in a lab environment across generations?
No, that's another observation. You're restarting.
No, it's not.
Yes,
No, it's not.
Can
It's a
we
question.
observe is an observation, Craig.
Yes, it's a question.
So he's arguing whether or not the question
Wow.
of can we observe these events happening under laboratory conditions is that not a question?
Apparently, it's an observation. I want to hear him explain that.
Yeah.
Is it a question? It has a question mark at the
Okay,
end. Therefore,
okay.
Jim Bob, it
Enough.
is a question.
Enough.
But didn't he
No,
ask?
not enough.
Didn't
I'm
he
in the
ask,
middle of
can we
talking, Jim
observe?
Bob.
Yes. I said this, James.
Yeah, Jim Bob,
dude,
I'm
stop.
answering the question.
You're not asking a question.
I'm answering the question. I'm trying to answer the question. If you could allow me the courtesy of answering the question.
Okay,
to you.
go ahead. Like, you're burning up
Yeah.
time. Can you observe?
Can you observe evolution happening
Why
in a
are you
lab
asking
environment across
Asking
generations?
times.
That is a
directly
question.
to the answer.
Yeah.
So in the scientific method, the observation is the beginning. Then you ask a question about the phenomenon you're observing. Notice when I asked Craig what, because you're leading to the hypothesis, what causes the phenomenon you're observing. Notice when I asked what the question is, Craig went back to another observational question. Now he's back at he's back at the start of the scientific
No,
method.
incorrect. The question can be an observation. It doesn't need to not be an observation.
Right.
The question can be, can I see this happening? That can absolutely be a question.
Yeah, that's another
The question can also the question can also be, why is this happening?
Yeah, great.
The question could be whatever I want it to be, Jim Bob. You don't understand how the scientific method works. Now, the next step would be
So
the
much gish
hypothesis,
galloping.
correct? No, I'm in the middle of talking. The next step would be a hypothesis.
Uh-huh.
The hypothesis would be if E. coli has grown for thousands of generations, it will evolve to become better adapted to its environment. That is a direct hypothesis coming from the question that was answered. The next step from that would be making a prediction based on the hypothesis. You can shake your head all you like, but I'm the one with the physics degree.
No.
The next step would, after the hypothesis, is you can make a prediction. And the prediction would be if I put the E. coli in a solution that would stop it being able to breed itself because of poison, then
So if you poison something and it dies, that's evolution. Dude,
I haven't finished my sentence.
You're
Here's the
gish
thing,
galloping,
Jim Bob.
bro.
I hadn't finished my.
You're
I'm gonna
gish
finish what I'm
galloping
saying.
a story.
No, I'm not. If I'm gonna finish what I'm saying, and that's the problem. You
All
listen
right.
to half of what
You're
I
just.
said,
I
right?
want my time
So
back.
The prediction is if I put the E.
Just Jim Bob is acting like such a child here, and he's like, "I want my time back." But I think that's a perfectly acceptable answer. He just doesn't know how to respond to that, so he has to like
Yeah, I mean, he asked the
act
question.
like the question wasn't answered when it was.
Absolutely. He has to say something ridiculous like that question you just asked was an observation. It wasn't a question. Like, what?
Yeah. You don't make an experimental observation. I've heard him say this before. It's like that's the first the first thing you do in an experiment is observe, test, repeat, right? So funny.
coli in a solution that is poisonous to it.
Wow.
Will it evolve to adapt to be able to overcome that poisonous solution?
That's a different. That's a different hypothesis than evolution.
No, it's
though.
not.
Yes, it is.
That is a prediction
No, that's
from
not.
the hypothesis.
Let me answer.
That's it.
Let me. Dude, this is James, this is absurd.
All right,
This
we're
is
gonna go to
absurd.
the next.
prediction.
We're gonna go
Absolutely
okay,
absurd.
What's your question, Jim Bob, that you'd like to ask?
I wanted Craig to take me through one observation to a hypothesis.
I'm doing that.
Dude,
I'm literally doing that.
Hey, Greg, shut up, so we can actually get this. I'm just giving Jim Bob a chance to say what he was asking.
I want a simple observation that leads to a hypothesis. Craig went from observing one thing to then introducing poison, okay? Observing.
That's a prediction.
Can you control yourself? That's a different observation, dude.
It's not. It's a prediction.
For a different observation.
No.
Naturally, in natural science, do you see bacteria getting poisoned?
I'm losing my shit. I cannot contain myself. That is a good laugh, though. We'll clip that right there. Hold on, I got it. There. have the technology. Make
So
it better,
I see him
faster,
talk.
stronger.
I see him talking, but I don't hear it. Is it just me?
Do you in
Yes,
Okay, cool. So
absolutely.
Okay, that's
what medication is.
that's a different observation than you originally
Yeah, I got it.
No,
said.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
Right. If you will give
Give me
right,
You're
if
so
you
fine.
want me to go, you asked me the question, Jim. Scientific method of an observation.
Yeah.
I am doing exactly that.
What's the observation?
The observation.
That's great.
Do we agree that's
Great.
agree
That's an
that is
observation. Great. Now the next question in the scientific method is what causes that?
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No.
What else would the question be?
You said you can't hear it?
It's kind of it's
I
a
don't know
little
what's going
choppy.
on.
Yeah.
Still up. And then my counter stopped. They had like a minute of lag. Uh-oh. Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here. It's hard to follow. Like I even forgot what his observation was, and when he repeated it just a minute ago, I didn't hear it. But
The question doesn't have to be what causes that.
What's the hypothesis? Is
You're not letting me answer. Jim Bob, you asked me a question. You don't let me answer. So,
Oh yeah, it was just the observation of he said under these conditions it proliferates, and under if you poison it, obviously it dies.
so you asked the question. What is the question?
Which wasn't
The
exactly
question
what he
is,
said, because if you put it in a solution, then it
can
can't
we
reproduce.
observe
More observation.
cross
the experiment. But
generations? Right. That is the question I have. Oh, we have the hypothesis. The hypothesis is if E. coli is grown for thousands of generations, it will adapt it to environment.
Yep.
That is a logical progression from the observation question hypothesis.
Craig.
The next part is the prediction. The
Unbelievable.
prediction is if you put the E. coli in a solution that is poisonous to it, it will adapt to the pressures.
Okay.
And this experiment has been going on since 1988 and is still
Adaptation.
ongoing today. Is in fact the longest,
Craig.
the longest
Gish gallop, dude.
ongoing.
that I've done as long as I've been alive. So, hooray for me.
Experiment.
It's a Gish
You
gallop
said
king.
2 minutes. You said you'd give me 2 minutes.
So
Not
adaptation,
Gish galloping, answering your question.
Craig, observing adaptation and calling it evolution are two different
That is
things.
evolution.
No,
it's
that's
not.
no. Then why are you using different
No.
words?
Adaptation is part of evolution.
Now,
Adaptation is evolution.
Hold on.
Evolution
Dude,
is
you gotta let me
to
talk,
your
dude.
environment.
James, this is insane.
Hold on.
This is insane.
We do.
Yeah, adaptation is a feature, and like Jim Bob's being like very, but right, like each of these things, right? There's like a suite attributes that make up the process of evolution, how things evolve. So you've got like genetic mutation, that's one thing. Like mate selection or preference, that's another thing. Like each one of those things like contributes to how things evolve.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's
but-
willing to accept adaptation, but not evolution.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because they will try to say that adaptations like are just basically like memes, right? Like choices that people make, and it has nothing to do with.
Well, even if you didn't choose it, like
You asked me a
We
question.
do have
again,
to
the-
have the
answer.
expo questions. So
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't see you unmuted there.
oh, you're good. Carry on. Yeah.
Did you want to finish your thought?
No. Go ahead.
If-
Okay.
your question.
If
JD.
adaptation is one thing and evolution is a different thing, then you can't
It might
May-
help if you mute yourself.
make them synonymous.
Oh, no, that's-
Exactly. Okay. So when you say I watch something adapt, you're
Okay.
watching something at the local level adapt. Like
Okay.
change to some sort of inputs.
Shit.
Okay. This is not what's in question tonight. What's in question tonight is some sort of transmutation. It's some sort of evolution of how animals and populations diversified over time at the macro, large scale animals, sexual selection. We're not looking at a petri dish. All you're doing for the audience is saying, I looked at something change and react to stimuli. Therefore, what?
Okay, so there is no difference between macro and micro evolution. Evolution is evolution. You trying to separate them is a disingenuous tactic
Question begging.
used by evolution deniers, right? It's not a difference. The fact that it is the same thing. The evidence of it happening is that we can make it happen in a short time. We can also go to
But
the London
Did this
Underground
thing- is this
mosquitoes
thing on?
who
Okay.
live Literally became a different species.
Okay. Oh, thanks for coming, Sterling. It was good to see you. It's probably not a you issue as much as a me issue, but I really think this is like probably the best point in the conversation. And what he said there, Craig said that basically, perfect timing. He was like, the thing that is important to notice is that it's not like there's just a thing that happens and we can't right like manipulate it, right? Because we can replicate that in a lab. To make it happen, then obviously, like, nature can make it happen, right? Like anything that we're capable of, you know, like, is possible in the natural world, regardless of our behavior. So it's just like about having the right conditions and enough time. Really, all that's required for like proof of something like that. And if you're asking for more, you know, I don't know. You just got to go and look at the trees, man. Because obviously, all the answers are out there. Church of Ape for Monday, October 6th. Will Freeman, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and Sandy all in the chat. Much love, everybody. Of course, the appropriate links are below. If you want to get music, donate, anything like that, always appreciated. And much love, be kind, be well, and stay trusty. And I'll see you later.